Have you ever felt like a fraud? Where you're looking at something, reviewing something, eating something, and you know you have no right to even say anything about it. That's how I feel about Forex games. Now, I understand what Forex games are. They are rich and grandeur with so many minis, and you're moving around a table and you're getting into combat, and that combat is the main thing that gets the juices flowing. But for me, no, I love family weight games. I love medium weight Euros. That's where my expertise lies. So how can I comment on Aldarra? Well, firstly, this is just Savage Skies, the 5 to 6 player expansion. The main box is even bigger. It is as epic as you could imagine. Welcome to the planet of Sordane. Now, Sordane is known for its fantastic creatures, but more importantly, it's known for these wondrous airships. Now, they're flying around all around the place, signed to different factions, going out. They're going to be fighting, but they're also going to be mining. Now, that's the general theme of this game. But in particular, we're talking about the country of Aldarra. Now, centuries ago, there was a cataclysmic convergence storm, and Aldarra, it was uninhabitable ever since that storm happened. Now, Aldarra is rich with all these resources, the crystal and all of the mines. Time has now passed, and that magical storm that had basically stopped everyone from going in there is now starting to lift, and all these factions are realizing they can now go into that land and start mining these precious resources. Now, in this game, look, you will be going out exploring, and exploring is going to be one of the simplest parts of this game. You're going to be getting exploration cards, and they're going to give you a whole bunch of bonuses. But the main, Forex attraction of this game is going to be the combat. Now, unfortunately, if you are a peace-loving individual, well, you're going to find it pretty hard to get around Aldarra without bumping into one of your enemies there, and there is going to be conflict, and each hex will need to be sorted out, and there will only be one winner. Okay, so that is the basics of this. So let's go into how does a round of Aldarra work, then let's go deeper into what are my thoughts. What are the vibes of this game? Now, for a full detailed run through on how this game plays, how about checking my video, the 2-player playthrough video? Look, you're gonna fully understand how the game plays, and it's a cracker of a video. But because I know you're time poor, just like this guy, well, let's just show you the basics of the game. Firstly, we wanna move our ships, and I'm red here, and I'm gonna place down my token here, and that's gonna allow me to move my ships to that area, to that hex. Now, heavy ships can move up to 2, lighter ships can move 3, maybe even 4. But there's a second way we can move. We can also place our token here on a hex that contains our airships, and then we can move those airships from that hex to another hex. There we go. Simple, it's done. We got it. We are now in conflict here. Red is taking on green. Green absolutely quaking in their boots. All these frigates and engineers coming down range. Okay, let's get into combat. Well, the first thing we need to understand is combat's actually done over a couple of stages. Normally, if there's a lot of airships in there, it would be light ships versus light ships first, and they would just wean out the weak. Then from there, you'd have heavy ships versus heavy ships. And obviously, that's the big boys there, and they would take each other on. But you've also got a choice to be able to hold stuff over and just send everything in that heavy wave. So a little bit of way of doing that. Now, how do we know how to do conflict? Well, firstly, we're going to be looking for these cards. They're going to tell us which vessels we sent out there. So let's just say we sent out a frigate there. This frigate has a shield of 1 and a 1 green dice. And you're going to count up all of the dice that you had in that area, and the attacker will always go first. You're going to roll your dice, and then you're going to count up those numbers. So that's pretty easy. If we were the attacker then we had those dice, we'd have 3 attack, and obviously this guy would be absolute dead ski. The only other thing to know is there is a symbol here, an exploding symbol. That means you get the 1 point, then you get to roll again. Bonus. We all love bonuses. Anyway, that's it. Attacker goes first, defender goes second. And what if we go through and there's still people left over? Well, you have a choice. You can be a big wimpy boy and, just run away. But that's not me. I'm going to fight to the death. It would escalate and you would keep going until there's only one winner. Okay, we have now won this gold mine, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So I'm gonna maybe do a bit of exploration on top of it. So let's do that. So let's put out my exploration token here, and then I'm gonna grab an exploration card. And that exploration card is gonna give me some sort of bonus or something there that hopefully for exploring, it's gonna be a nice little win for me. That's it, I've now explored, I've moved, I've had conflict. That is the end of my turn. Each player is going to be doing that 3 times, going around the table. Once everyone's done it 3 times, it's time to mine. Simple stuff. Each gold mine is going to be worth 3 coins. Each silver mine, 2 coins. Each copper mine, 1 coin. Your home base is going to be 10 coins. And obviously these crystal areas will get you crystals if you own them. So obviously to own them, you would just need either an outpost or one of your ships in the area, and you've got that mining. Oh, that's it. Look, a whole bunch more stuff there. You got secondary objectives here. You got a whole bunch of discoveries. You got event cards. Event cards come in the expansion. Amazing stuff. So look, that's all we need to know. I'm exhausted. Let's get back to what do I actually think of this game. And from there, it's just a race to 20 points. You're going to get points every time you win conflict. You're going to get points from your secondary objectives. You're going to be able to sell some of your coins, some of your crystals to turn them into points. Lots of ways to get points. And look, that 20 points will come around in no time. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about the elephant in the room and Forex games. Hey, yeah, people live and breathe this stuff. Your Twilight people, yeah, they're special. Your Xia people, Xia, they're special. Yeah, a lot of people love this genre of games, but not this guy. I've never really ever sat down and said, yay, I will play that again. I think this is the first game I truly felt like I would play it again, and maybe because, is this slightly easier? I would say yes. I'd say, look, there's still a lot going on. There's a lot you need to manage there. You've got your cards, and then you've got all your upgrades there, your discoveries, and there's a bunch of sort of going on. So I wouldn't say it's a beginner game, but I would say it's more your light to medium weight Forex game. So, yeah, and it plays in a reasonable time frame. So I'm going to say it is a bit more beginner friendly, and maybe that suits me because my games I love are family games. I love up to medium weight Euros. That's my bread and butter right there. So the fact it was slightly easier made this something that was actually approachable for me. Now maybe the theme as well. I seem to really dislike space games. So the fact where, I guess it's still like Arcana Punk or whatever with airships, it's probably still a theme I wouldn't jump to, but I like it better than space. So again, it's ticking a few of those boxes. But the thing was, I played it, I had ease. The conflict, well, it got a little bit messy. I didn't really like that light and heavy. Would rather just all in every time. I think that would work better for me, and maybe that's the way I'll play it going forward, just to even simplify it even more. So there we go. That's my initial thoughts. But there's more to this game than just that. What about solo? Well, there is no solo. So that's the end of that segment. Well, actually, let's just chat further about that. Yes, there is no solo. Now, not every game has to have solo, but for me, it's a very important thing. So it is probably something for me that is a strong negative for this game. I honestly think I could design a solo for this. And you know me, I love designing solos. I do it for a lot of these games out there. And that's probably what I'll crack on with one day. And I'll work on that because this game would be great with a solo mode. So look, definitely lack of solo, which is a negative. And I'll just get out my last other negative first. And that's, I wanted just a tad bit more meat on the bones. Now, I know I said before, it was almost beginner friendly, which is a positive for me. One thing I would have loved is I love things like technology tracks and things like that. I love that in games. And I reckon this game could have added that in, wouldn't have added that much extra, I guess, rules and overhead. Could have been nice. I love technology tracks. Yeah, I know you do because we love technology tracks. So it's just something I would have added in if I was designing it. So there we go. Those two things are missing. That's my negatives. Let's get into what are the things I absolutely love about this game. And firstly, let's chat about these minis. These are awesome. These are really great. And the fact you can really define those sizes, those small ones, the heavy ones, and each faction is completely different. Like this green faction is my absolute favorite. They're like, this is like a lobster thing and they've got like a big whale and a shark and they're awesome. I love the green ones. Again, that is in the expansion. So it's one of the two colors in the expansion. It's got purple and green in the expansion. The expansion will also add those event cards, which is another thing I love as well. So if you do want to play this game up to 6 players, then you're going to need the Savage Skies expansion. So yes, I absolutely adore the minis. I love the fact that we have these cards and we can upgrade them. And I love the fact they're tied to dice, different colored dice. And obviously those dice have, different numbers on them. Some dice are better than the others. Those things I dig so much. So I love rolling dice for combat. Again, if it was me, I would have made that combat a bit more simplified. But cool, it works. And for people who maybe want that heavier experience, yeah, they're going to love that light versus light, then heavy versus heavy. Yeah, look, it's designed for, I guess, a wide range of audience. So I love the minis. I love the big hexes. I know these are the upgraded coins, but metal coins, amazing. Love that. But anyway, again, upgraded, so probably shouldn't be talking about them, but very cool stuff. And then you have asymmetric factions. Now, this is almost a must-have in every game nowadays. And this asymmetric faction has a couple of things that is going to be an advantage for this particular faction. Now, this one is really cool. This is a faction that can have its outpost actually moving. Now, normally when you put an outpost on a hex, it's tied to the hex. But with this faction, they float around. Freaking awesome stuff. So I love the theme. I love the backstory. I love this Aldarra and that storm that went over, and we're now going in and we're mining from scratch. Very cool theme, very cool minis. It looks incredible on the table, but be prepared. That's a pretty decent box. Yeah, you get it. It's a big box. And finally, let's leave you on a bit of advanced strategy tips. Really, my first tip is be better. That's pretty much it. Just be better. Just be better at the game and you'll win. It's a great tip, great advanced strategy tip, and yeah, that's pretty much my number one. But look, outside of that, don't be scared to get into conflict. That is going to be where this game goes. It's always going to draw you to that conflict, but then you have that balancing act because you're keen to go to conflicts, try and get those victory points to help you get to 20 points. But the problem is, really, you're going to have 3 turns each round, and each player's going to have 3 turns each round. By the end of those 3 turns, you might not have anything left over. And if you don't have anything left over, you can't mine anything. Then you won't get coins, and those coins mean you can't get any more ships. And if you can't get any more ships, then the game's kind of over. Be mindful, be careful. I know you want to get into conflict every single turn. Keep some of your ships back. Make sure you control some hexes. You're going to need those coins. You're going to need those crystals. Sometimes the best part of Valor is just being a chicken and not going into Valor at all. Said someone, probably. Anyway, that is all I have. Look, Aldarra is a beast of a game. A beast in the fact you've got all these beautiful minis, all these beautiful hexes. I love the theme. I love the fact that I've got a 4X game that I didn't hate. That is unbelievable. And to be honest, I was willing to tell you that I hated it if I did. But the fact that it was a bit simpler for me, and maybe that's not going to be for you. Maybe you are that person that needs that full-on 8-hour game and so much asymmetric goodness going on, and you just need to just do that for hours and hours and hours. Well, maybe this is too much for you. Or maybe you treat this as almost a 4X filler. It's still going to be a couple of hours, so don't be silly. But there we go. Look, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I think if you're if you're a bit put off by those larger games, those more epic games, then this is probably the one for you. You're going to get everything that you're going to need and love in that genre of games, but it's just going to be something that you can actually get to the table. So there we go. I'm Hogs. This is the Bangers Project. That is Aldarra. Whew. This will be the biggest game I'll review this year. Whew. I'm exhausted from this. I'm going to go have a nap, I reckon.